Hello and welcome. Tonight, 14 out of the 17 candidates in the upcoming Ondo State governorship election signed peace agreement and pledged to ensure violence-free poll. Candidates of the PDP and the APC in the Ondo governorship election continue last-minute push to woo voters ahead of Saturday's exercise. Vice President Oshibajo challenges participants at the Executive Legislative Retreat to work together and deliver promises made to the people. And Ecowas lifts wide-ranging sanctions imposed on Mali after the announcement of a 25-member transition government for the country. Plus, business, sports, and later from our studios in London.
On business news tonight, internally generated revenue of 36 states in the country drops by 11.7% to 612.87 billion naira in the first half of 2020.
On sports news tonight, US Open champion Dominic Thiem is out of the French Open after losing an epic 5-set battle against Diego Schwartzman.
It's less than 5 days to the Ondo State governorship election on October the 10th, and candidates of the leading contending parties have signed a peace pact coordinated by the National Peace Committee in collaboration with Yaga Africa. The governorship candidates of the All Progressives Congress, the People's Democratic Party, and the Zenith Labour Party all reaffirmed their commitment to a peaceful poll. Members of the Peace Committee, including the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Sa'ad Abubakar, and the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka, also urged all candidates to accept the outcome of the elections.
Brigadier General Shaibu...
Candidates of the various parties, party officials, the police, religious leaders and traditional rulers, among other dignitaries, are present to witness the ceremony. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, is represented by Deputy Inspector General of Police, Adele Oyebade. He sets the ball rolling by calling on all the stakeholders to ensure peace and order during the election.
The present administration wants to bequeath on this nation a people's police of our dream. And part of the steps that have been taken is to have credible election supervised by the Nigeria police.
The traditional ruler of Ugbo Kingdom, Oba Frederick Akinruntan, is the chairman of the Ondo State Traditional Rulers Council, and he has some words of advice for all the politicians and their supporters.
Please, I'm appealing to you. What you are here for today is accord peace talk, peace assignment. You have to abide with it, please.
Thereafter, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Matthew Kuka, and the Sultan of Sokoto addressed the gathering on behalf of the Peace Committee.
Important for us that we have continued to stand by INEC and the people of Nigeria to make our little contributions towards peaceful, fair and credible elections.
I'd like to call on you to see the signing of the accord this morning, not just a mere ceremony or formality, but a commitment by all of you, in fact a covenant, which you will all be held responsible for the outcome at the end of the day.
The candidates of the frontline political parties, Agbola Ajayi of the ZLP, Eyitayo Jegede of the PDP, and Oluwarotimi Akeredolu of the APC, promised to uphold the peace pact.
I can assure you, sirs, that this election fixed for Saturday will be peaceful for as long as our security agencies are there.
For me, as a person, and speaking for myself on this, I am absolutely committed to a peaceful election.
Let me appeal to everybody that nobody ambition worth anybody's blood.
And the All Progressives Congress, APC, the PDP And
The high point of the event is the signing of the peace pact by the candidates as well as the chairman of the parties taking part in the election.
photograph peace committee, the INEC chairman, the IGP, and others to come forward so that.
And while they agree to ensure a peaceful poll, the candidates have also been trying to woo voters. During his campaign tour, the PDP governorship candidate, Eitayo Jegede, assured residents of Ilaje that funds meant for the development of the oil-producing communities through the Ondo State Oil-Producing Areas Development Commission, OSOPADEC, will be properly utilized.
Ilaje, the oil-producing local government area in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, plays host to the PDP governorship candidate in the October 10 election, Eitayo Jegede. His campaign train moves through the length and breadth of the local government area, touching communities one after the other. Supporters rally in Igbokoda, headquarters of the local government, where the PDP candidate soon addresses them. Ilaje is crucial to Ondo State's economy as an oil-producing community, where a large chunk of revenues accrued to the state. Some believe Eitayo Jegede is the man best equipped to manage these resources.
We have said that we have presented the best of the candidates in the current dispensation. And there's testimony to the fact that the candidate of the PDP, Eitayo Jegede, is a man you can trust, is a responsible man, is a man who is read. Our people here count that very much. Our representative should be somebody who has the intellectual capacity to lead the people.
Eitayo Jegede is a person to be reckoned with, and at the same time is the governorship candidate of PDP in 2016. And we know his antecedents. And southern district of Ondo State is a stronghold of PDP.
The PDP candidate promises not to let them down.
To reassure the Ilaje people that I'm with them body and soul. I've gone round, I have seen the limitations, I've seen the challenges, I have seen the denials. And in all good conscience, I have said to KBCs, all of them, that we will address it. I've assured them that the funds that are meant for the local government will not be trapped in Akure, the state capital. It should go to the local governments. I've told them that OSOPADEC funds will also be channeled to OSOPADEC as required by law. I lose nothing in obeying the law.
Mr. Jegede is hopeful of winning Ilaje local government area in the election, being a part of the Southern Senatorial District, a stronghold of the PDP.
And for Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, the Ondo State government may have to take responsibility for payment of external examinations for final year secondary school students from the coming academic session. The governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, who was speaking during an interactive session with traditional rulers and residents of the state, insists the initiative has nothing to do with the election.
They have some DLIs.
Happening in this hall is an interactive session between the Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu and residents.
Session with Mr. Governor, just like we said earlier on.
In attendance are royal fathers, student union members, civil society organizations, NURTW members, artisans and civil servants, among others. The governor seizes the occasion to give a report card of his administration over the last 3.5 years.
From what I saw then, when I came in, workers' welfare was at an all-time low, and that cannot be disputed. There was practically no economic activity in this state because workers who are supposed to go, who try and move the economy then, who are still the one that move the economy, were being owed over 7 months arrears of salary. 7 months. And most of them were not promoted by the time we came in.
According to him, it was not all a tale of woe.
The state was on a path towards an unsustainable debt burden. We were debt-ridden when we came in. And the state had sad enough, we had assessed significant money because we had gone through a boom. But we came in at a time where everything was low.
He also gives a report on projects as well as job creation.
We came in and had an industrial hub. And in the industrial hub, which is Ondo Industrial Hub, by the grace of God, today we have 5 industries running. Others are yet to join. 5.
While some attendees ask questions on the future of the state, others commend the governor. But he insists whatever he's been able to achieve have been through divine inspiration, promising to do more in the years ahead if given a second opportunity.
Away from Ondo State, as the 2-day executive legislative retreat ends, one of the recommendations is that the ruling party must take ownership of its members and do better at reconciling conflict. The recommendation also includes the need for better understanding, mutual respect, regular pre-budget consultations, collaborative engagement, and strengthening the capacity of the executive liaison officers in the National Assembly. Delivering the closing remarks at the end of the retreat, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo urged the participants to work together to deliver on the promises made to the people.
The call for synergy between the legislature and the executive has been met with divergent reactions. Many believe in the synergy would cause the 9th legislature to be a rubber-stamped National Assembly. On the other hand, the Buhari administration believes the lack of synergy is responsible for the clogging the wheel of progress of the government, and this retreat is supposed to build that synergy. It's been 2 days of sessions on communication, collaborations between the executive and legislature in the budgeting process, and the role of political parties in strengthening the partnership between these 2 arms of government.
It is important that legislators are carried along in projects and basically in all aspects of projects that are going to be executed by the federal government.
For us in the oil industry especially, it is very important that this is happening at a critical time when the PIB has just been presented before the National Assembly.
What Nigerians want at all times is for us to think and act for them so that we address and take on the issues that can provide prosperity for our country.
The conflict, as noted, has been between members of the same party. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, wants the participants to know there is no pure practice of separation of power in any democracy.
The good legislator or the good minister is not the one who is waiving the law and procedure and doctrines. It's the one who says that the spirit of our Constitution is that we must secure the maximum welfare, freedom and happiness of every citizen on the basis of social justice, equality of status and opportunity. That's what our Constitution says. That's what the good legislator, the good minister must say. So I believe that we mustn't waste too much time on processes and procedures. We must do all that is in our power to serve the needs of our people. And those needs are urgent and they're immediate.
Most of the clashes between the executive and the legislature are on processes and procedures, and that's the reason for this retreat. Create better synergy so that they can provide better services for the people. And that's the message that every participant at this retreat has to take home from this program. Ultimately, they are answerable to the people who put them in power. From the State House in Abuja, Kayla Magwa, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, we continue our series assessing key sectors of the nation at Nigeria's 60th anniversary with a focus on the judiciary today. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television, Lagos. A reminder about top stories. 14 out of 17 candidates in the upcoming Ondo State governorship elections signed peace agreement and pledged to ensure violence-free poll. Candidates of the PDP and the APC in the Ondo governorship election continue last-minute push to woo voters ahead of Saturday's exercise. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo challenges participants at the executive legislative retreat to work together and deliver promises made to the people. And Ecowas lifts wide-ranging sanctions imposed on Mali after the announcement of a 25-member transition government for the country. Plus business, sports, and later from our studios in London. President Muhammadu Buhari will, on Thursday, present the 2021 appropriation bill before a joint session of the National Assembly. In a letter read by the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, today at the resumption of plenary, President Buhari is requesting the audience of lawmakers in both chambers for the presentation of the budget. The budget estimates will be formally laid by the President at the House of Representatives chamber by 11 a.m., with the President of the Senate, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, who also doubles as chairman of the National Assembly, presiding.
Presentation of 2020 appropriation bill. May I crave the kind indulgence of the distinguished Senate to grant me the slot of 11 hours on Thursday, 7th October 2020, to formally present the 2021 appropriation bill to the joint session of the National Assembly. While I look forward to addressing the joint session, please accept, Mr. Senate President, the assurances of my highest regards. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari.
Since independence in 1960, the struggle for the sustenance of the socio-political fabric of the country has rested majorly on the judiciary. In continuation of our series examining critical sectors of the nation and how well they fared, tonight we turn our attention to the judiciary. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shele, reports.
At independence in 1960, the Nigerian judiciary attained the status of an independent arm of government, which led to the establishment of the Supreme Court as the apex court of the land. The irony, however, is that even though the judiciary came into existence before the country attained independence, the third arm of government is still searching for its independence from the other two arms of government. There's no doubt that the period of military rule negatively impacted on the judiciary. The period witnessed wanton disregard of the rule of law and democratic principles, indiscriminate dismissal of judicial officers, and open disobedience of judicial pronouncements. To some extent, the return of democratic rule in 1999 brought back some vibrancy and courage to the judiciary, as several landmark decisions were given by the courts. But at the root of the independence of the judiciary is the perennial problem of funding.
Overworked, underpaid, ill-appreciated, and discarded. That is my summation of the Nigerian judiciary.
You have to invest in the judiciary if you want the best from the judiciary. You have to engage, you have to recruit the best of lawyers. And the best of lawyers will not go to the bench if there's no attractive facilities.
To underscore the importance of funding and judicial autonomy, President Muhammadu Buhari on May 22nd signed the Presidential Executive Order No. 10 of 2020. The order is for the financial autonomy of the state legislature and the state judiciary. This power is, however, being challenged as the 36 states of the Federation have gone before the Supreme Court to contest the President's executive order. Closely trailing the challenge of funding are allegations of corruption in the judiciary. Most of the judicial officers whose homes were raided on October 7, 2017 by operatives of the Department of State Services DSS have been freed by the courts, and the few cases which are still pending are moving at snail speed.
There has to be strict timelines for litigation.
The judges blame the lawyers blame the judges. Come on, the judge is the master of his court. So there are things that can be done. Technology, you can bring in digital transformation to disrupt how we do cases.
Delay in court proceedings, over-reliance on legal technicalities, high cost of litigation, and the cherry-picking by the executive and legislature on which court orders to obey are some other issues confronting the judiciary 60 years after independence.
The Nigerian judiciary is not as agile as it used to be, but it can be, and we should do everything to make sure it is agile, responsive, and delivers justice every time.
With the disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the judiciary must also fully embrace advancements made in science and technology, upgrade its facilities so that it can continue to play the important role of discharging justice with sincerity. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
And now to discuss how the judiciary has fared in the past 60 years, we're now joined live from our Abuja studios by a legal practitioner, Mr. Silas Onu. You're welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
60 years after independence, how has the judiciary fared in your assessment?
Well, to begin, I would like to, first of all, disagree with the introductory position of this program. I would like to say that the judiciary actually performed better under the military government than under democracy. And that was why we witnessed indiscriminate dismissal of judges, because judges were bold to give judgment against the state, against the military government. But since 1999 that we came into this democracy, we've had a handful of judges that were bold enough to take a stand against incumbent government. I'll take you to the 2003 presidential election. We had the then Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Muhammad Lawal Uwais, who was bold to take a position against the incumbent government and said that election was rigged, but wasn't enough to cancel that presidential election. And for that purpose, he didn't get the normal celebratory dinner they give to retiring chief justices. And his name is still intact till today. What we have had since 1999, I don't want to talk of the military era because we actually had some of our best judges during the military eras. But since 1999, what we've had in Nigeria are mostly judges who are even better politicians than the politicians that are card-carrying members of political parties. They look above their shoulders before they give any judgment in cases. You find that we have a judiciary that have been hijacked by judges. You see issues of elevation is unconstitutional. There is nothing like elevation of judges in our constitution. But you find a judge move from High Court to Court of Appeal to Supreme Court. They have turned the judiciary into their private industry. Now, I also listened to a senior advocate in the course of this program who said the best lawyers would not want to join the judiciary because of the unattractive package. I disagree. Lawyers every day want to become judges, but they are blocked. The judges who are inside now control the NJC, control the FJSC. They will not let you come in. So we will continue to have an analog judiciary in a digital age. That is what we have. Presently, we have a Chief Justice that is controversially said to have altered his date of birth. There was a case in the High Court of FCT that suddenly died. Someone went to court challenging the Chief Justice for altering his date of birth. You shouldn't have such stories coming up in the judiciary at all.
Now let me come in here. If I may come in.
For the justice sector.
If I may come in. Mr. Ondo, the judiciary is one of the arms of government, definitely, but do you think it's been accorded that respect it deserves in terms of its relations with the executive and the legislature?
Well, for you to earn that respect, you have to be willing to also perform your duty without fear or favor. The executive and the legislature that disregard court orders do it because they know they will get away with it. They will go to another judge who will give them a contradicting order that they will use and say, hey, we have another order saying we shouldn't do what the other court have ordered us to do. So the judiciary itself is its own problem. You need to put your house in order before you begin to say others are not respecting you. This Executive Order 10 that is even controversial now, I find no need for it. Who interprets the law? The judiciary. If there are cases of lack of respect for your orders, have you committed anybody to prison for contempt? We have cases where executive will willingly and publicly disregard court orders. What has happened to these people? Nothing. So as long as the judiciary does not deploy and use its powers, everybody will trample on them.
Okay, so therefore,
Soon,
what can you say
ordinary
about...
citizens
what can you say,
will even begin to disregard court orders.
Therefore, what can you say about corruption in the judiciary?
Oh, that one has become the mainstay.
In a second.
Corruption in judiciary has become, it has become like a party, it's a buffet. When you find judges now lobby to become members of election petition panels, it tells you that they're not doing it because they want to dispense justice. It has become business. You find judges lobbying to get appointed into some panels in some states that are considered juicy. Come on. Judiciary that we have now is more or less a business institution. We need to have a holistic reform of the judiciary. We need to have a total turnaround. Because as we are today, as a legal practitioner, you appear before a judge, you know your laws, you know your facts, but you are not even confident that you will succeed at the end of the day. Not because you didn't present your case properly, just simply because you do not have the financial muscle. Today, you find litigation, civil and criminal, litigants preferring to go for certain kind of lawyers. They'll tell you have to be a senior advocate. Even among the senior advocates, you have to be a well-known senior advocate. It is not because you are the best lawyer, but it is simply because you are one of those lawyers that have reach and means, that can get around, talk to judges, bend the rules, bend the law, and have judgment. That is not what we are supposed to have today. The country
finally,
is
let's quickly
bleeding,
ask you this
and
question.
We must reform our judiciary today.
That's taken now. But what do you think of the position of the autonomy that the president wants to grant the judiciary?
Does the president have power to be granting autonomy to arms of government that are already autonomous? The judiciary is already autonomous. All that is required is for us to implement the law as it is. I heard the vice president saying that no arm of government is truly, completely independent of the other. That is wrong. In the performance of their core duties, they are completely independent of the others.
In this case, we're talking about financial
Basically,
autonomy.
we're talking about financial autonomy.
Yeah. Yes.
When we talk about autonomy, it's mostly financial, right? Now, what did the Constitution say? Pay the money of the judiciary directly from the consolidated revenue account to the judiciary. Why are we playing politics with it? People have gone to court to get this section of the Constitution interpreted. What did the judiciary say? Did they enforce any of the provision of our Constitution? they play around with it because they'll tell you, you cannot give order against the president. The president is too powerful. You cannot give judgment against the... So as long as you are afraid of giving orders against the executive will continue to trample on you. This money does not belong to the executive. The money does not belong to the legislature. The money belongs to all arms of government.
Thank you for your thoughts.
And they have to stand up and fight for their right. So the president cannot grant them financial autonomy. They already have it.
Thank you so much for your contribution on this issue. Mr. Silas Ondo, a legal practitioner, thank you so much for coming on the News at 10. When the News at 10 returns, internally generated revenue of states in the country drops by 11.7% to 612 billion naira in the first half of 2020. That's our business news. Do join us again. Welcome back to Security. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum is asking the army to change its strategy in order to win the war against insurgency by taking the fight to the enclave of the insurgents. Governor Zulum, who made the call at the Chief of Army Staff Conference in Maiduguri, the state capital, said insurgency must be approached from a common front. Also at the event, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, acknowledged that the army has received additional equipment to tackle insecurity. Attack is the best form of defense. This formed the premise of the exhortation of the Governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, at the Chief of Army Staff quarterly conference in Maiduguri. He describes insurgency as an evil that must be confronted.
The Nigerian army must therefore take the war to all the hideouts of the Boko Haram and should not wait and give the insurgents the opportunity of first attack. You should, as a matter of policy, embark on clinical clearance operation after successful execution of attacks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian army must also embark on confidence building and confidence sharing mechanism with communities and civil authorities they find themselves in, so as to expose the terrorists, their collaborators and sponsors, and end their alliances forthwith.
While the Chief of Army Staff may consider this advice important, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai highlights the arrival of new equipment which will give their operations an added edge.
To this end, the Nigerian Army recently took delivery of key platforms to reinvigorate our operations. These include the VT-4 and ST-1 tanks, the Kia light tactical vehicles, as well as the SH-2 and SH-5 self-propelled artillery guns. Post-shipment training is currently ongoing on this equipment, and they will soon be inducted into the theater. The Nigerian Army received some Spartan armored personnel carriers from Jordan, and we are expecting the delivery of other major capabilities.
The conference serves as a platform for the review of the strategies and achievements of the Army this year.
I join you all to raise issues and points which will address our operational and administrative challenges and also lead to informed decisions that will enhance the performance of the Nigerian Army.
The volatility of the areas in the northeast where the army is engaging the Boko Haram terrorists with a view to dislodging them permanently means an incisive campaign against a stubborn enemy. The governor of Borno State maintains his position that the army must take the fight to them to win it. The Nigeria Police Force has filed a 3-count criminal charge of fraud against a former governor of Imo State, Mr. Ikedio Akim. In the charge, dated September 23, 2020, and filed before a Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja, Mr. Hakim is accused of using the name of the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, to defraud unsuspecting victims. He's also alleged to have given false information against one Chinyere Amuchenwa, alleging that she'd threatened him with a gun. No date has been fixed for the arraignment of the defendant. The trial of Nigerian internet celebrity Hush Puppy, earlier scheduled to commence this month, has been suspended as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. According to reports, the suspension is contained in the orders of a district judge in California, Otis Wright, released on September 23rd. Hush Puppy, whose real name is Ramon Abbas, is being tried on a 4-count charge. His case was originally fixed for October 13th after he earlier pleaded not guilty to the charges pressed against him. The trial will now continue on May 4th, 2021. The 4 out of the 21 local government areas in Anambra State have been submerged following heavy flooding, and the state governor, Willie Obiano, is requesting financial support to mitigate the damage to property and farmland. Governor Obiano was speaking with State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. The governor explained that he is also seeking support for the contractor building the second Niger Bridge to get the equipment he needs to complete the job. He's also asking that 6 dilapidated federal roads in the state be included in the 2021 budget for rehabilitation.
4 of my local governments, that is 4 out of 21, 4 of them are underwater now as we speak because of this flood. And it affected a lot of things, property, which includes farm produce and what have you. So I called on Mr. President to assist us at this very crucial time. Being a COVID time, and now the flood we are experiencing this time around is like 2012, which is terrible. You know, so he promised to do something immediately. I did also appraise him on the progress so far made on the second Niger Bridge. If you watch from the side, you see that almost half of that bridge has been done. You know, but because the water level is very high, the contractor working in that bridge requires some equipment which they've already purchased long ago, sitting in Germany, and requires some support from Central Bank to be able to bring in those equipment.
Telecommunications giant Globacom has launched a new tariff plan designed to give their subscribers a more rewarding experience. Named Berekete, the prepaid tariff plan rewards customers with amazing voice and data benefits every time they recharge their Glow lines with a minimum of 100 naira.
The usual routine is to recharge one's phone line for calls and then begin to look for how to load data credit. That's about to change. Globacom, with the many tariff plans for its different categories of subscribers, has come in with Berekete, carrying both data and talk time.
As the name implies, abundance, customers should rest assured of amazing voice and data benefits every time they recharge their Glow lines with a minimum of 100 naira.
With Berekete, customers can satisfy their communication and browsing cravings easily.
Glow Berekete plan accommodates customers' browsing and talking needs from the same recharge and is open to new and existing prepaid customers.
The Globacom team says using this new tariff plan is as easy as dialing *230# and then you're in and you can call all networks.
The biggest point is this airtime which is provided can be used across all networks. There is no division between Glow networks or there is no division between other networks. You can use it across all the networks.
On every recharge that you do, you get 700% bonus. Again, it is divided into voice and data. Plus, the third leg on Berekete is that when you buy a data plan, for the first 4 months, we give you 100% bonus, up to 100% bonus on the data plans that you buy.
Some of Globacom's ambassadors, like the music maestro Don Jazzy and Tenny Makanaki, were also present.
When I was younger, I used to go to the movies and I used to drive by Glow building, the Bull, and I used to, like, one day I'll enter that building and, you know, it's just very fulfilling. I'm excited to be a part of the family and a part of the brand.
I've always believed that a good name is better than silver or gold, and Glow is a good name. Myself, I'm a good name, and when two great names come together, you know, as proud Nigerian brands, you know, we definitely will offer the best that we can to the Nigerian public.
And so with this new tariff plan, Globalcom reaffirms its drive to continue to add value to the lives of the customers with a promise to continue to meet and exceed expectations in diverse creative ways.
Introducing Berekete activated.
And now for business news, here's Teniola Shobowale.
Thanks, Olumide. Welcome to Business News. The internally generated revenue of 36 states in the country and the Federal Capital Territory dropped to 612.87 billion naira in the first half of the year. According to latest data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the amount represents a 11.7% decline year-on-year when compared to 693.91 billion naira recorded in 2019. At the same time, the IGR figure also recorded a 26.5% decline in the second quarter at 259.73 billion naira against 353.14 billion naira recorded within the first quarter. The drop on the state's IGR is attributed to the restriction of movement across the country, as well as slowdown of business activities caused by the devastating impact of COVID-19. With 204.51 billion naira, Lagos emerged as the state with highest internally generated revenue, while Jigawa State recorded the least internally generated revenue of 3 billion naira within the period. The federal government has signed a bilateral air service agreement with the United States, Rwanda, Morocco and India. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, made this known today on his Twitter handle, which reads, "I am glad to announce that Mr. President, on behalf of Nigeria, has signed the instrument of ratification of the bilateral air service agreement between Nigeria and the United States, India, Morocco, as well as Rwanda." The signing of the agreement comes after experts asked the government to review the deal, which enables a country's airline to enjoy equal leverage in flight operations with countries where their own country has an air agreement. Over to the stock markets, the NSE's main index jumped to its highest level since April 2015 at the close of today's trading session, inching closer to the 29,000 level, while total value of listed equities surged to a new high of 15.11 trillion naira. Layo Adegoke has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The bulls have made yet another giant stride past the bears' territory as investors intensify their appetite for stocks on the NSE. Now, just a day after hitting the 27,000 level, the exchange's main index jumped higher by nearly 5% to close above 28,000, while total value of listed equities hit the 15 trillion naira mark. This highly impressive performance, which is sustained from the bullish performance in September, is attributed to bargain hunting by investors for stocks such as Dangote Cement, MTN Nigeria, FBN Holdings, and 42 stocks as they continue to seek higher return for their investments. That, of course, is evident on the sectoral chart, which shows sustained bullish sentiment recorded across the 5 major sectors of the market, in particular, the banking, industrial, and consumer goods counter. No doubt that these are good times for investors at the stock markets as the margin of profit taking is on the low side with just 8 losers. Traders say they expect the market to sustain the strong performance into midweek trading session as they anticipate more influx of investors. That's the Stock Market Report. I'm Layo Adegoke.
And that's Business News tonight. It's back to Olumide for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Taniola. To bring you an update now on the coronavirus situation in the UK. The number of people admitted to hospital with coronavirus on one day has jumped by 25% in England. Now, there were 478 people admitted to hospital on Sunday, the largest daily figure since early June, up from 386. It comes as a further 14,542 cases were confirmed across the whole of the UK on Tuesday. That daily figure has tripled in a fortnight. Our London correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, reports.
More than 15,000 positive COVID cases were lost in Britain's tracking system. A system once described as world-beating by Prime Minister Boris Johnson, once again under the spotlight for all of the wrong reasons. The data error means tens of thousands of people who should have been told to self-isolate after coming into contact with an infected person were not informed on time.
Mr. Speaker, I want to take the first available opportunity to set out to the House the technical issue around case uploads discovered by Public Health England on Friday evening. This is an ongoing incident, and I come to the House straight from an operational update from my officials. On Friday night, Public Health England identified that over the previous 8 days, 15,841 positive test results were not included in the reported daily cases. This was due to a failure in the automated transfer of files from the labs to PHE's data systems. Mr. Speaker, this incident should never have happened, but the team have acted swiftly to minimise its impact, and now it is critical that we work together to put this right and to make sure that it never happens again.
Figures released earlier this morning from the Office for National Statistics reveal that coronavirus-related deaths in England and Wales has risen for the third week in a row. A total of 215 fatalities were registered in the week ending September the 25th. This is up from 139 deaths in the week to September the 18th. There were 99 deaths in the week to September 11th. The message from the Prime Minister is clear.
The crucial thing is that in the next few days, week, we'll see more clearly whether some of the restrictions that we've put in, the extra enforcement of the rule of six, the extra enforcement of self-isolation, the rules on masks and so on, all the stuff that has come in, we'll see whether that starts to work in driving down the virus. But this is all very much in our hands.
The glitch has cast further doubt over Prime Minister Boris Johnson's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. His Conservative government's response has been cast by political opponents as slow, poorly organised and confusing as the second wave is on the move. Juliana Olayinka, reporting for Channels Television News in London.
West African regional bloc Ecowas has lifted wide-ranging sanctions imposed on Mali after weeks after the country's junta announced a 25-member transition government. 70-year-old former defense minister, retired Colonel Bandwa, heads the government, with junta leader Colonel Assimi Goïta as the vice president and former foreign minister Mokhtar Wane as prime minister. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The US President Donald Trump has made a theatrical return to the White House to continue his treatment for coronavirus after a hospital stay for 3 nights. Trump, who is still contagious, removed his mask on the balcony of the White House while posing for pictures. His physician said he would continue treatment from there and he may not entirely be out of the woods yet. Several of Trump's staff and aides have also tested positive for the virus in recent days.
And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune, I don't know. But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there, be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and it all happened very shortly, and they're all getting approved, and the vaccines are coming momentarily. Thank you very much, and Walter Reed, what a group of people. Thank you very much.
Anybody who Meanwhile, the president's rival Joe Biden has criticized Trump for ignoring mask wearing and social distancing guidelines.
I would hope that the president, having gone through what he went through, and I'm glad he seems to be coming along pretty well, would communicate the right lesson to the American people. Masks matter. These masks, they matter. It matters. It saves lives. It prevents the spread of the disease. Social distancing. Instead of talking about what the only thing I heard was one of the tweets saying that, don't be so concerned about all this, essentially. There's a lot to be concerned about. 210,000 people have died.
The electoral authorities in Kyrgyzstan have annulled the results of parliamentary elections following violent protests. Demonstrators broke into Parliament overnight and clashed with police, saying the elections were rigged and demanding a new vote to be held. Hundreds were injured and one person has died. That's according to the Health Ministry. The move by the Electoral Commission came soon after President Sooronbay Jeenberkov accused political forces of trying to illegally seize power. 3 scientists have been awarded the 2020 Nobel Prize in Physics for work to understanding black holes. Roger Penrose, Reinhard Genzel and Andrea Ghez were announced as this year's winners at a news conference in Stockholm. The chair of the Physics Prize Committee, David Haviland, said this year's award celebrates one of the most exotic objects in the universe. Black holes are regions of space where gravity is so strong that not even light can escape from it.
So I think this is one of the prizes that I think are inspiring for everyone who has ever looked up at the stars and wonder what's there. And one of the things I guess none of us expected to find there are these mysterious black holes. And now we know that not only there's a theory that predicted them, and there's observers, astronomers that actually found them.
Antivirus software entrepreneur John McCaffrey has been arrested in Spain and faces extradition to the US, where he's been charged with tax evasion. Prosecutors have said he failed to file tax returns for 4 years, despite earning millions from consulting work, speaking engagements, cryptocurrencies, and selling the rights to his life story. None of the income is connected with the software firm which bears his name. McCaffrey has not publicly commented on the charge and could face up to 30 years in prison. Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has backtracked on his campaign promise to create 1 million jobs, saying the government can only employ 200,000 people. President Chakwera said the government could not create jobs on its own and needed the private sector's help. He said every entrepreneur needed to employ more people. The 1 million campaign promise was a major talking point for the Tons Alliance that was elected in a repeat presidential poll. In Senegal, millions of Muslims have gathered at Senegal's holy city of Touba for the annual Grand Magal, despite coronavirus restrictions. The Magal honours the founder of the Mouride Brotherhood, Senegal's most influential religious order. In previous years, as many as 3 million people travelled to the city for the event, but with closed borders, fewer pilgrims have attended this year. Senegal was among the first African countries to report a COVID-19 case, but has avoided the high death tolls seen elsewhere due to enforced mask wearing and restrictions on travel. And finally, Tasmanian devils have been reintroduced into the wild in mainland Australia for the first time in 3,000 years.
And then we're going to release them out into the wild.
Australia has the worst mammal extinction rate in the world, but the reintroduction of the species to the mainland will help rebalance the forest ecology that was damaged by the introduction of invasive predators. Tasmanian devils were wiped out from the mainland after being hunted by dingoes.
This release of devils will be the first of many. We're talking something monumental, a real mark in history, the return of devil to mainland.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Nigeria's Super Eagles have commenced training for the international friendlies against Algeria and Tunisia in Austria. The team was put through its paces by the technical crew led by head coach Gernot Rohr as they get ready for their first match against the African champions Algeria on Friday. US Open champion Dominic Thiem is out of the French Open after losing an epic 5-set battle against Diego Schwartzman in the quarterfinals. Schwartzman needed just over 5 hours to prevail 7-6, 5-7, 6-7, 7-6, 6-2 over the 2018 and 2019 finalists to reach his first Grand Slam semi-final. There was even a bigger upset at the women's singles as qualifier Nadia Podoroska eliminated third seed Elena Svitolina 6-2, 6-4 to reach her first Grand Slam semi-finals. Podoroska is now the first qualifier ever to reach the last 4 of Roland Garros and the first in 21 years to reach such a stage in any major. And that's sports news.
And the main news again. 14 out of 17 candidates in the upcoming Ondo state governorship election today signed a peace agreement with a pledge to ensure a violence-free poll, even as candidates of the PDP and APC continue their last-minute push to woo voters. And that's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Do have a good night.